कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। तवेवास्मि तवेवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति वैज्ञानिकेतन न च मां चरणाति। श्याम सुंदर सिकंद शेखर स्मर हास्य अमूल्य मनोहर राधिका रसिक माम कृपानि थे सदेवी चरणन किंकरम गुरु। Hmm. So we are actually discussing a very serious topic that is called Vaishnava etiquette. And this is like very funny thing that when we talk about correcting ourselves or correcting anybody, we unnecessarily point out to so many things which we see in other people, but we often forget that you know our own faults are innumerable. We cannot even count. So this particular session which I'm taking now, before I start, last time yesterday I didn't tell you that, but I'm telling you one very important. I'm giving you one very important instruction in one way that uh, this session is for us to improve. This session is not to point out fingers on other people, how they are doing and how they are not doing. As I said, that I was lucky कि मैंने घाट घाट का पानी पिया, बट नॉट एवरीबॉडी इज लकी कि वो घाट घाट का पानी पिया। और कभी ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने सारे घाटों का पानी पी लिया। ऐसे बहुत सारे घाट हैं जहाँ तक मैं पहुंच ही नहीं पाया शायद आज तक, और वी स्टिल हैव अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो, राइट? So we have to understand one thing, that whenever we are talking about Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava behavior, Suchi, Muchi, and all these things. So we need to understand that all these things are actually external in any way. Ultimately, we have to get ourselves purified within so that we can, go back to Krishna, right? But still, it is very important that when we are externally clean or externally trying to keep everything clean or everything intact, then it helps us to actually grow in bhakti. वैष्णव अपराध जो होते हैं ना, वो हमारी भक्ति को खत्म करते हैं। लेकिन भक्ति खत्म हो जाए ना, तो भी वैष्णव को जाके माफी मांगने से, उनकी कृपा से शुरू हो जाती है। लेकिन जो सेवा अपराध होते हैं ना, वो भक्ति करने के एंथुसियाज्म को खत्म करते हैं। और ध्यान रखना एक बात को कि एक भक्त के लिए सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट चीज क्या है? उसका उत्साह भक्ति के अंदर। योर एंथुसियाज्म प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन योर डिवोशनल लाइफ। और एक आप लोगों अगर हम देखें तो हम लोगों का जो फ्यूल है भक्ति का, वो एंथुसियाज्म ही है। अगर हम एंथुसियास्टिक नहीं होंगे किसी चीज को लेके, तो वी आर एक्चुअली एज गुड एज डेड। तो भक्ति के एंथुसियाज्म को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए it is very essential for us to protect ourselves from seva aparadh. So Vaishnava etiquette mostly tends to seva aparadh only. Not the knowingly or unknowingly, we commit so many mistakes in day-to-day life. So we are going to discuss all these things which are mentioned here. But then, whatever experiences I have acquired from my experiences, I would like to share that with you all also. So cleanliness and hygiene. We are going to start today from here. So cleanliness is next to godliness. चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने क्या किया कि बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल सेट किया। उन्होंने जाके गुंडीचा मंदिर की सफाई करी और मोटे मोटे जितने भी कूड़े थे वो सारे उठा के बाहर फेंक दिए। और गुंडीचा मंदिर को सफाई करने के बाद ही डिड नॉट सिट क्वाइट, इमीडिएटली ही स्टार्टेड क्लीनिंग द कॉर्नर्स ऑफ गुंडीचा टेम्पल। And after, like, very scrutinizingly, cleaning each and every corner, he went out and started cleaning the outside area of the temple. And everybody was surprised, Mahaprabhu, what is he doing? So Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that Mahaprabhu has shown that first we have to clean our heart. जो हुनर थे हमारे desires हैं, उन सबको खत्म करना पड़ेगा. And after that, जो गंदगी हार्ट के अंदर छुपी हुई है, क्योंकि हमारे जो कुछ ऐसे नर्स होते हैं which are subtle, which are not visible. काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मद, मत्सर, पता भी नहीं चलता कि कैसे आप किसी से एनवियस हो जाते हो. पता भी नहीं चलता, मतलब जैसे कहा जाता है कि लेकिन द्रौपदी, जब हम लोग कुंती महारानी की बात करते हैं, तो कुंती महारानी इज डेजिग्नेटेड एज एन आचार्य, बिग आचार्य, because the kind of prayers Kunti Maharani has performed, it's like only the acharya level person could have performed such prayers, and it is very amazing. But still कहते हैं कि जब माधुरी ने बोला कि तुम्हारे दो बच्चे हैं, तुम्हारे तीन हो गए, मेरे दो हैं, तो मुझे जरा एक बार तुम दोबारा से दो ताकि मैं उससे एक बालक और पैदा कर सकूं. तो आई थिंक कुंती महारानी somehow denied, because कहा जाता है कि कहीं ना कहीं पे एक सडन लेवल पे उनके अंदर भी था कि मेरे दो मेरे तीन तो उसके दो, तो मैं बड़ी हूँ तो लेकिन मेरे होना चाहिए कंट्रोल. So whatever was the reason, I don't know, but this is mentioned by acharyas that even Kunti Maharani had a little bit of tinge of enviousness in her heart, and that's why she did not give the mantras again to Madhuri. She asked her, let her use only once, and Ashwini Kumar came and gave two children, Nakul and Sahadev. Okay, this is very, very, very commonly seen thing. It's not about woman or man, but we all have little bit of enviousness, calm, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, and matsarya. So Mahaprabhu has shown this very, very good. We have to first clean our heart, and we have to clean these anarthas. And then he went out and he cleaned the outside area to show us that we should also clean the outside area so that all gandagi would not come inside. और what is सेवा अपराध? लाइक सेवा अपराध हमने ऑलरेडी देखे हैं, हम लोगों ने पढ़े थे ना जब निजी कोर्स किया था. तो वी डिड वेरी डिटेल के अंदर ईच एंड एवरी सेवा अपराध, राइट, फ्रॉम नेक्टर डिवोशन. फिर देन हम लोगों ने भक्ति सामने सिंधु बिंदु पढ़ी, राइट, है ना. उसके अंदर से भी हम लोगों ने पूरा डिस्कशन किया था सेवा अपराध के बारे में. बट कुछ ऐसे अपराध होते हैं जो कि सेवा अपराध है लेकिन मेंशन नहीं है कहीं पे भी. वो हमें पता नहीं चलती कैसे होते हैं कैसे नहीं होते. ठीक है, वो मैं बताऊंगा. इससे क्लीनलीनेस और हाइजीन को लेके बात करते हैं. फ्रेश क्लोथ मस्ट बी worn in a temple. You know why fresh clothes should be worn in a temple? Because कहते हैं कॉटन होता है ना, कॉटन. When you're wearing a cotton cloth on your body, once you remove it and throw it on the floor or put it anywhere, it's contaminated. So for puja, sometimes people they wear again, but you're not supposed to wear cotton clothes again in one way, according to Pancharatra. So there's something called jute. Jute gets purified with the water and air. So like, if you have a jute dhoti, you can remove jute dhoti and then you can go to the washroom or whatever and come back. And when you want to wear it, just put some water on it and just do like this in the sun. So in the presence of sun, water and air, it gets purified. Okay? Cotton gets purified also in the presence of sun, water, air, but as soon as it goes away from the body, it becomes contaminated. But silk remains always pure. That's why when you're doing the archanam, we should wear silk. But still, you cannot eat in silk. You cannot sleep in silk. You cannot, sit on the. You cannot sit on your bed while you're wearing puja clothes. पूजा के लिए when you're wearing puja clothes, you cannot, sit on the bed in that case. You see, normally you see, uh, see, मम्मी को बोल दो बच्चा को. So normally when if you see that every time the senior devotees they carry one shawl with them and they put the shawl on the bed and then they sleep on that shawl because woolen never gets contaminated as well. Okay, तो woolen और silk never get contaminated. इसीलिए चैतन्य बाबू ने बोला कि yes, it is true that मृग की छाल के ऊपर बैठ के भजन करना is very auspicious. But वो मृग जो है उसकी उसके पीछे रीजन क्या है कि मृग की छाल जब हो सकती है वो जब यूज कर सकते हैं अगर उस मृग की छाल के ऊपर छाल वो मृग की छाल उस पर्टिकुलर हिरन की हो जिस पर्टिकुलर हिरन को किसी उस देश के राजा ने मारा हो. अगर राजा ने नहीं मारा तो यू विल गेट द सिन ऑफ किलिंग द डियर. या फिर वो डियर अगर मर जाए तो तुम उसकी स्किन को लेके उस पर बैठ के भजन कर सकते हो. बट ये कलयुग में सब प्रोहिबिटेड है. तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने केवल हमको दो ही रिकमेंडेशन दी है. वन इज कुशा एंड सेकेंड इज वुलन. सो ऑलवेज रिमेंबर द आसन शुड बी ईदर वुलन और ऑफ कुशा. So after one takes prasadam, the area where the plates are kept must be clean. One should not step over the area where prasadam was taken because it is considered contaminated. The place where we take prasadam become contaminated, and if one steps on the spot, then feet must be washed. The place where the prasadam has been taken must be clean right after the prasadam has been taken because the temple must be very clean. So we should be very careful that we do not unnecessarily contaminate the temple. यानी कि आप गए मंदिर में और मंदिर में जाके आपने बोला बड़े भाव से गए और जाके आप घुस गए कृष्णा हॉल में. वहां पे सब डिवोटी से प्रसाद पाया था तो आप वहां पे गए और घूमते हुए किसी को ढूंढते हुए वहां से निकल के चले गए मंदिर में. तो जहां जहां आप स्टेप डालते जाओगे वो पूरा एरिया कंटेमिनेट होता जाएगा. इसलिए हमेशा मंदिर के अंदर पैर धो के अंदर घुसना चाहिए और प्रसादम हॉल से जब भी बाहर निकलो हमेशा पैर धो के निकलना चाहिए. One time I was in Jamshedpur, I remember they were serving prasadam and I thought, let me serve prasadam also. I was a very new bhakta. 2009 की बात है ये. So I didn't know मतलब much of the culture in Gaudiya Math, but there was no school in Jamshedpur at that time. So I was having prasadam there because I had an event there. तो जब वो प्रसादम सर्व कर रहे थे तो मैंने देखा कि किस तरीके से वो हाथ में लेकर प्रसादम को सर्व कर रहे थे एंड दे वर नॉट पुटिंग एनीथिंग डाउन डिस्पाइट इट वाज टू हॉट. एक दाल की बाल्टी है जो इतनी गर्म थी उसको दो लोगों ने उठा रखा था बट उसको जमीन पे रखा है. लाइक जमीन पे रखा उसको करते हुए हम लोग लेके चले गए. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू हैव दिस प्रसादी concept. One should not enter the temple hall without having washed one's hands and feet after eating. One should enter a temple with the clean hands and feet. One should take bath after passing stool. Of course, we should do that and then enter the temple hall. अब ये एक बड़ा important point है यहाँ पे कि one time I was living with one Babaji in Radhakund and then I was outside around 2:30 in the night, 3 o'clock. I was standing around. I had a Maun Vrata that time. I kept Maun Vrata for 11 days, not talking to anybody and just standing. So I saw him running. I was living with him in another room, but I didn't know ये क्या करते हैं क्या नहीं करते बाबा. तो मैंने एक दूसरे को थोड़ा सा चेस किया. मैंने कहा पता नहीं कुछ प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं होगी और देखा कि वो राधा कुंड से बहुत दूर तक गए और कहीं खेतों में जाके उन्होंने अपना पास किया. I understood the concept कि maybe he did not want to pass stool in Radhakund. That's why he went away from Radhakund. But then he came back and then I saw, I mean, because I was watching for him. So I saw that he had cleaned his hands 12 times first, and then he had cleaned his private parts for 24 times almost. And then again he had cleaned his hands for 24 times or something like this. तो भक्ति सिद्धांत महाराज ने एक स्टेटमेंट बोली थी कि people don't know how to clean their shit, but they want to get Manjari Bhav or Manjari Swarup. So I didn't understand what was the reason behind that, but I understood that day that even I didn't know how to clean my own whatever. So that day I asked after when my Mohan Vrata got over, I asked him these two questions: why did you run that time? He said because I have taken a vow not to pass through in Radhakund. So I always go out and I pass. And then second thing he said that we should always clean our private parts 24 times and then 24 times our hands. So at least we should wash our private parts with the soap. This is at least the least we can do because we cannot have so much of dust or mitti inside our toilet. But if you go to Radhakund or any of these places where sadhus are doing bhajan, you'll see so much of mitti is there in their washroom, and they still believe in cleaning themselves with the mitti. One should enter the temple after visiting the crematorium, of course, or after touching a dead body, or even after touching an animal. One should not pass air and belch within the temple. Sorry, belch. One should not pass air or belch, sorry, and one should avoid putting one's finger in the mouth, ear, nose while in the temple. And when one is compelled to do this, even outside the temple, one's hand must be washed. During the menstruation period, Mataji may visit the temple, but they may not perform any item of deity worship, aarti, dressing, cooking, garland, or any other work which is required. Okay? This is very, very, very essential and very important. आप लोगों को पता है सूची मूची झूठा भोगा प्रसादी, right? What is sushi? What is muchi? What is bhoga? What is prasadi? Do you know that? Suchi means in those utensils which we only either cook or offer to the Lord. Muchi means in which no matter how clean they are, but we eat in them. Bhog, Bhagwan ko whatever is not been offered, which has been offered. And if you use this terminology in front of any old Vaishnava, then I'm cutting the vegetables for the Lord, he or she will bash you. Because actually, among the Vaishnavas, the exact terminology we use for that is amaniya. We are doing amaniya of this particular thing. So, मैं जरा ठाकुर जी के फलों को अमनिया करके लाता हूँ. They use this word. ठाकुर जी की सब्जी को अमनिया करके लाता हूँ. हाँ. हाँ. अमनिया करना मतलब भगवान के प्रेयर करना. ठीक है? This is very important. About the physical, this thing, Mataji should, when the mentions are going on, they should not go in the contaminated state to the temple because if they're clashing with somebody, they're also contaminating them. So 3 days at least they should avoid. They may attend Tulsi Aarti but may not offer water to Tulsi Devi. Under all circumstances, chanting of one's japa bead should be continued. There can be no material impediment to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. और सृष्टि अगर कोई भी बल्लवाचार्य संप्रदाय से आगे बोले why are you chanting on तुलसी से नामना कारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रा पिता स्मरणी न कालः तेता ऋषि तव कृपा भगवान मुआवि दुर्जय मनुष्य में आदनि नानुरागः. And second thing, why the hell are we chanting on Tulsi beads? Why are we buying 500, 600 rupees Tulsi beads? Because of one simple and small reason that Tulsi purifies us. When we touch the Tulsi, we get purified. So under all circumstances, chanting on one's japa bead should continue. There cannot be any material impediment to the chanting of the holy name. As far as one's home is concerned, Mataji should try to maintain the above standard where possible. In some cases, it may not be practical or possible to do that. There may be no one else available to do the cooking or something. So in that case, Mataji can do some cooking. बच्चों को खाना खिलाना ना उनका मात्र धर्म है तो कुछ भी करना पड़ेगा उसमें करना पड़ेगा ना. है ना? So in that case, I told you that they can take quick bath, quick shower, and immediately they can wear some woolen clothes, or they can wrap a woolen shawl around them and can do the quick cooking and can do the quick offering if in any case nobody's there, right? If other family members are not available. Generally, we should always remember that one is a devotee and is representing Guru and Krishna, whether in temple or at home, at work, in the office, or out on the street. One should conduct in a way that draw appreciation to Guru and Krishna and should avoid all conduct that will bring Guru and Krishna disrepute. Right? Devotees should not wear expensive and flashy looking jewelry. It's not good. As far as possible, devotees should avoid using any item made of leather, right? Or any animal slaughter got, got involved in that. We should always try to avoid it. Okay? Even when one is criticized or offended, one should conduct oneself with dignity. While one may certainly take precaution against being cheated, one action where necessary, one should be careful to avoid picking up the quarrel. But there's no need to tell anybody, ऐसा ही है यार, वैसा ही है यार. You have to tolerate that. Why you have to tolerate? Because if you tolerate, then you will actually make other person suffer more. Sometimes your silence is the biggest weapon. And you can actually make other person realize that he's wrong by being quiet. A devotee must be particularly careful in dealing with the opposite sex. This is very important. How to deal with opposite sex. The best is to that, have a barrier in your mind. Barrier in your mind in a sense, you think that, oh, this Mataji is Maya. And जितने भी लोग ये सोचते हैं कि this Mataji is Maya, they all fall down mostly. They end up in getting married. We should always consider that woman, every woman we have around us, if she's elder than me, she's my sister. If she's very elder than me, she's like my mother. If she's younger than me, she's like my younger sister. And if she's very younger than me, she's like my daughter. If you have that mentality, I'm telling you, you're always safe. We say Mataji, 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 and we just, after some time propose to the same girl, will you marry me? Mataji. you know, One time I posted on my Facebook, we should actually we should not call everybody as Mataji. We should rather address everyone as Mummy. Because maybe if we call her Mummy, we'll actually realize that she's my mother, you know, or Mom, or Maya, which we actually call our own mother. Why I'm saying it? Because this is very important for us to have this proper understanding. One time, Lochan Das Thakur, he got married. He didn't know who his wife was. Mahaprabhu ki instruction pe he went back. He was going back, and then he stopped at one place to have water. And then, when he was drinking water, he said, Mata, can you just give me some water? So that woman actually was his wife. And he addressed her as Mata. And she actually heard it as Mataji. And then she actually gave him water as well. So when he went back home and when he saw that, the same woman, he said, I've already addressed this woman as mother. How can I be married to her? So he left her immediately and went back to Mahaprabhu. So it is very important for us to have this proper understanding. You know, we should address every woman as our sister, mother, or daughter. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Goswami says that a devotee must not be neglectful in ordinary dealings. In other words, one should not give up basic courtesies and formalities, considering them to be mundane and oneself to be transcendental. So, no need to open. No. Okay, so on. To touch someone with one's foot is offensive. If one has to walk past seated devotee in temple, for example, one should extend one's hand to indicate. लात मारते हुए नहीं जाना किसी भक्त को, धाड़ धाड़ धाड़, you know अगर बाय एक्सीडेंट किसी का भी टच हो जाए पैर तो इमीडिएटली उसको हाथ लगा के मैं सर पे हाथ लगा लूं कि आई एम सो सॉरी दैट आई हैव एक्चुअली मेड अ बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक ऑफ मतलब आई हैव मेड अ मिस्टेक, सॉरी. ठीक है. मतलब माता जी को टच हो जाए तो माता जी को आप ऐसे प्रणाम कर सकते हो, माता जी आई एम सो सॉरी, हरे कृष्णा, you know, immediately she will understand that, it happened by mistake. So this is very important. When we are dealing among devotees, we are very, very careful. Because, Prabhupada always used to say, if before being Krishna conscious, be conscious. How conscious you are, you know, how conscious you are will lead you to Krishna consciousness. Okay? So, attending class, it is very important for us to have the proper understanding that when we are attending the class, we should be quiet, we should not be sleepy. If you're feeling sleepy, you can get up and stand in one corner. Try, very senior devotees giving class, don't chant, you know. If one feels excessively sleepy, one must move to the side, as I said. Um, we all know the rules regarding sitting in a temple, like not showing our feet or foot. So this is very important that we should not be sitting cross-legged, showing to the Lord. When you come to Vrindavan, you see Radha Raman temple. If you're sitting on the courtyard of Radha Raman, they say you please uplift your foot and sit in the Sukhasana, but don't hang your foot. Because when you're hanging your foot, you're actually showing your foot to the Lord. So yeah. Anyways, different temples have different rules. They won't even let you do kirtan when the offering is going on. Because they think that when you're doing when you're playing Pratal, so the other से भगवान का भोग टूटता. ठीक है. One should not shout around. One should not, should control the children. So children are not becoming noisy, and they must be kept outside the temple. So a relevant, pertinent question may be asked in a humble spirit. This is a very important thing. One time I went to Hyderabad and I was just talking to Hyderabad. I asked him that, Prabhuji, sometimes I'm not able to understand classes. Sometimes people will say something, which is not so appropriate. He said, no matter what, but you should still listen to the Bhagavatam class every day. Because you have to understand that the same Paramatma is sitting in your heart, who is sitting in the heart of the devotee who is giving a Bhagavatam class. So he is representing Vyasadev, and Vyasadev and Paramatma will make you speak, which will inspire to the Paramatma of your heart. So maybe the whole lecture of anybody is nonsense. The lecture was nonsense because of certain reasons. That particular understanding itself is not a very small thing. At least you got to learn something. That when you are giving a class, you are not going to mention these points. It's so beautiful. So Aarti, attending Aarti, कहते हैं कि when you are attending the Aarti, um, we should not show our back to the Lord. Aarti is also called Niranjana or Drishti, which means waving auspicious item before a person in order to dispel inauspiciousness, influences, or element as mean of protection. The various items offered, all representative of the material element in pure form and the corresponding sense object, are auspicious and purified. As I told you, when we are offering the arti, we can think, oh Krishna, let me just make a nikunj very auspicious and fragrant with the help of incense, so that you can come and you can reside here. But then when you are doing the Deepa. Deep is actually, you can say that Krishna, this is actually my heart which is burning in separation from you. Please accept me as your servant and please try to pacify me. Conch represent our eyes. So when we offer the conch, Arigya, it's like, with our tears, we are doing the Abhishek of the Lord. This is the understanding of, that's how I do deity worship, that these are my realizations from deity worship. And then when you're putting the clothes and you're wiping the Lord, Bhagavan, theek hai, I'm so sorry. With my tears, actually, I've made you wet. And Mahaprabhu used to, do the Abhishek of Giriraj with his tears. You know, this is bona fide 100%. And then because you have already presented yourself that you were very enthusiastic to make a nikunj for the Lord to sit. When the Lord sat, you started feeling separation from him, and then your heart started burning. Then the tears started coming out of your eyes, and which had actually made the Lord wet. Now you actually are in your consciousness, and you're offering the flowers. Flowers, they represent prayers. Vilapa, Kusum Anjali. So the Kusum Anjali means actually Rupa Raghunath Goswami, who is a Pariyojana has written the last book called Vilapa Kusum Anjali, and he's offering that Kusum Anjali. Kusum Anjali. Vilap means separation. So the flowers of separation. So actually flowers represent prayers. When you cannot pray, you offer the flower to the Lord. That's the best thing to do. Okay? It's very important for us to have this understanding. We are very fortunate that we are actually able to talk about it. So after doing this, you offer peacock feather. Sorry, chamar. Chamar actually takes away all the inauspiciousness from the Lord. Let me just remove all the inauspiciousness from you, Lord, because you're sitting in the Nikunja. And then when you're offering the peacock feather, it is actually drishti. You can right? So all Aarti ceremonies offered to the Lord are auspicious, but the first Aarti, the Mangla Aarti, in the morning is considered particularly auspicious for all who participate. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Pad, you know that, we have Guru Ashtakam, right? So, but Guru Ashtakam does not have 8 shlokas. It actually has 9 shlokas. Do you know that? पता है आपको सर? आपको पता है? नो श्लोक, नो श्लोक क्या कहता है? ये बोल रहे ना यस्य प्रसादा भगवत प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादा नगति कुतोपि. After that, what shloka comes? श्लोका which comes actually उसका मीनिंग ये होता है कि जो भी व्यक्ति इस पर्टिकुलर श्लोक इस पर्टिकुलर 8 श्लोकों की प्रेयर को ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में गाता है उसको राधा कृष्ण की नित्य लीला में प्रवेश मिलता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड फलश्रुति. So every shloka or every ashtakam we chant or dashkam we chant, we always have one extra shloka which that is called Falshruti. But as a Vaishnava, our actions are not formed to get any kind of Falshruti. Well, we always do everything for the pleasure of the Lord. So one who will with the great care and attention loudly recite this beautiful prayer to the spiritual master during the Brahma Muhurta obtain direct service to Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan, at the time of his death. This is what is the meaning of the 9 shloka which we don't chant. So Mahaprasadam, honoring Mahaprasadam is very important. Nirmalya refers to the garland, flowers, chandan, water, ghee lamp, tulsi leaves. Pujari has offered, during the puja. कहते हैं ना कि with our eyes we purify our vision by looking at the Lord. ठीक है? Or we purify our nose by smelling the flowers offered to the Lord, and tongue by eating the Mahaprasadam, ear by listening the holy name of the Lord, and then paying obeisances to the Lord, we purify our body. So one should not disrespect the Nirmalya by stepping on it. It is very important and very essential. Somebody was telling me that why do we use this uttari? Some people they say for style. Some people they say it's just a part of it. Some people say just to be dina hina. You know, actually there are so many reasons. Of course, every servant they have one uttari. To clean anything, anytime. Right? We are servant of Krishna. But whenever we are receiving prasadam, we should always receive prasadam like this. This is the right way to receive prasadam. And then it is the right way to receive Chandamrita as well when we are doing it. Okay, so that nothing will fall on the floor. Apart from this, Uttari is mostly used to receive the Dakshina. When people are actually throwing water, you know, पहले जो भौतिक जगत में थे तो बोलते थे हुई वर्षा अमृत की हुई वर्षा अमृत की. But like the arghya water which has been offered to the Lord, and when they are throwing on us after the aarti, we should always have this tutri in front of us like this, so the water is not falling on the floor or on our feet. It's very important. So after being properly respected, Nirmalya, such as garland, flower, whatever, should be collected and should be put it into a river or anywhere where it is that can be degradable, biodegradable. Very important. So this is very important. We should behave in this way. ठीक है. ऐसा कहा जाता है. The person who let even one drop of sacred bath water, यानी कि अगर एक बूंद भी भगवान का चरणामृत जमीन में गिरता है, ठीक है, तो जो व्यक्ति होता है ना, वो 8 million, on the ground must suffer 8 million such sinful effects. मतलब इतने इतने उसको इतने sinful effects झेलने पड़ते हैं. The Pujari should distribute Chandramrita to the devotee who may chant the following verses. कहते हैं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादोदकम प्रेम भक्ति दम मुदा भक्ति भावेन व पित्वा शीर्षाधारयम अहम. कई लोग कहते हैं कि अकाल मृत्यु हरणम सर्वव्याधि नाशनम, क्या बोलते हैं, पित्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते, समथिंग लाइक दिस चैंट. So some people they chant that particular mantra, which is very common. So to avoid spillage, hold your hand under your right hand and always accept prasadam or tulsi or anything like this. He lamp in traditional temple, the lamp is brought first to the Garuda, who stand at the back of the temple. But in a ISKCON temple, what we do? We offer to Srila Prabhupada. And it should be the always custom that which should be offered to Prabhupada, then the senior devotees. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आपको ये लैम्प ऑफर नहीं हो रहा है तो आप जो है वो जूनियर डिवोटी हो गए. लेकिन जितने लोगों के ऊपर से लैम्प होता हुआ आएगा, लोग उसकी लैम्प से वो लैम्प लेंगे, उसकी कृपा लेंगे, उन सबका जो महाप्रसाद है वो आपको ही मिलेगा. So no matter which state, whether you are very senior or very junior, you always need the mercy of Vaishnava. So one should not think, oh my God, ये क्या हो रहा है मेरे साथ. मेरे को कैसे भूल गए, मैं तो बहुत सीनियर डिवोटी हूँ. Needless clothing, of course, another type of निर्माल्या used in the clothing. अब भगवान के जो कपड़े होते हैं उनको हम लोग नहीं पहन सकते. Just keep it in your mind. Be very, very, very careful that whatever clothes we have, we got it from the deities. We should not throw anywhere like this. We should always respect those clothes. We should not wear the jewelry as well. Because we are going to toilet. We are doing so many nonsense activities also with the same this thing. One may also wear it, but strictly speaking, it is best not to cut and re-sew the cloth, as it widespread custom. If cutting and re-sewing is to be done, it should be only for the devotional clothing. Beadbag, costumes for children, drama is acceptable. Avoid wearing any prasad cloth below your waist. Hand, if it is going below the waist, that is also. आपने एक नेकलेस पहना हुआ है आपने और अपने कमर से नीचे जा रहा है, that is offense also. People they make what do you call, भगवान के ना वो जो है ना साक्षी माला होती है. They make sakshi mala with the Mahaprasadi beads of the Lord, and then when they are chanting, the chanting bag is below the navel. That is also an offense.
Sometimes, when Abhishek and people wear the clothes that's offered to.
Oh, that cloth can be worn. That is okay, because one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy and he said, Nityananda, give me your copen. And then Nityananda gave his copen to him, and then immediately he tore it apart and then he said, put it on your head. And then, from there the custom came that whenever the Lord is being bathed, we should actually have his Mahaprasadi. in our hand. That is a different thing. Mahaprasad is commonly practiced in many temples in India. After the Darshana Aarti, the pujari may distribute small morsel of the prasadam to devotees directly from the altar room or from outside. But as soon as we get it, we should not eat in front of the deities. This is very, very, very essential and very important to understand. Now, other etiquettes. Handling sacred items, very important. Books, beads, kartal should not be kept on the floor or in unclean place and should be respected as a worshipable paraphernalia. You have a chadar, put the chadar on the floor, maybe next to you, like nicely, and then you can put your what do you want, your book on it or anything you have, on the top of it. When you've seen me, then you do that. When I'm doing a yajna, है ना? Even if I don't have a plate or I don't have any proper asan to give to my Shukri and Shua, I'll take two sticks and I'll put one stick here and one stick here and then I'll put my Shua on the top of it. We should always giving asan to each and every paraphernalia we are using in the service of Lord. Yajna ke time pe I'm using, you know, Akshata, right? Always giving that as an asan to the ghanti, to the lamb, to everything. If you cannot do that, what you can do, you can take some water on the on the table, one spoon of water, use this and make a triangle. Okay? And take some water, say almost tripod, and then you can put on your ashwagandha up there. So triangle actually, this is known as auspicious symbol, triangle. Sometimes we use triangle, square, and the round, all these three things, for establishing the counts. Uh, and then we do the pita on the top of it when we say Om Adhara Shakti Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Kurumaya Namaha, like this.
That's established answer, right?
That is deity worship thing, which is like another thing which we'll discuss later, but not here. It is a small thing is that we should, if पानी की bottle है, तो लोग उसको मुंह लगा के पीते हैं. This is my water bottle. This is like nonsense activity. We should not do that. You should always try to understand if anybody is dying in front of you, will you give him your juta pani? And if that person is a senior devotee to you? Apart from this, as soon as you have touched your lips on the bottle is contaminated, your hand is contaminated, your clothes are contaminated. And then when you close it and then put it back in your bag, which has all the scriptures of yours, you are actually disrespected your scriptures. So the bag also got contaminated. One should not touch one's feet to anything sacred or one's feet to do what could be done with one's hand. If a sacred object fall on the ground, one's foot touches one should quickly pick it up and touch it to one side. कोई भी चीज होती है घंटी वगैरह हो गई. बट हाँ अगर भोग की कोई चीज होती है अगर गिर जाए और पैरों पे टच हो जाए तो वी शुड नॉट ऑफर टू द लॉर्ड. इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हाँ. The flowers sometimes they fall on the ground. We should try to avoid it. If our foot have not been touched, we can pick up and we can purify it. Why I'm saying it? Because one time Radharani was going in the Vrindavan forest, and one flower was almost dead, and he felt that oh, Radharani is just going to pass through me, but I'm so dead that she would not even notice me. And Radharani passed the flower, and flower felt so sad and gave up his body. Immediately, Radharani understood the bhav of the flower, and she went back and picked up the flower and put it back in her here. 15 more minutes. So put it in the here, and immediately the flower got life. So each and every flower we are using for the service of the Lord, they are crying and they are dying to be used in the service of Lord. As a Vaishnava, if you have this opportunity to engage them in the service of the Lord, so it stands for not only the flowers, it stands for each and every living entity you see around. Each and everything which is Chinmay. चाहे वो मृदंग हो, चाहे करताल हो, चाहे तुम्हारा गिटार हो, anything, whatever you have. Everything is dying to be used in service of Lord. So try not to put anything, try not to make it fall on the ground. In Vrindavan we can pick up, but not maybe outside in London. It will not be there. Then you can throw by saying sorry, right? Everything should be kept neat and clean. Prasadam should be kept separately. Bhoga should be kept separately. Bead, book, tilak, etc. should not be taken into the bathroom. Very important. One should be very careful in handling picture of Guru and Krishna. Okay? It should be handled with great care and respect. Special mention may be made of Harinam Chadar. Huh, that is like big blunder. We have Harinam Chadar in his front. It's like we should try to avoid as much as possible. We should never use Harinam Chadar at all in our lives. We should never have any of our bead bag with any name or any photograph written on it. We should never have any of the T-shirt of Vrindavan, Krishna. I lost my heart. I lost my slippers in Vrindavan or whatever. You know, any sick, any holy name or any picture of the Lord is mentioned. We should not wear that. When you're wearing it, you're sleeping. Then you're going to the washroom. You're getting washed with the washroom in the washroom. When you're wearing a Harinam Chadar, you're paying obeisance to your Guru. You're giving all the Namaprads of yours to your Guru Maharaj or to any Vaishnava you're paying obeisances to. You know. The special mention may, and one should be careful while offering obeisances that the bead bag in one's hand does not touch the floor. So we should always have a bead bag like this in the hand, and then we should pay obeisances. And one should be very careful in handling DT paraphernalia like clothes, jewelry, vessels, etc. For instance, clothes and towels should be nicely folded and kept. The vessel should be placed in a proper places. Now, Krishna is non different than his paraphernalia. कहते हैं ना भगवान non different है. This is very important for us to have this particular understanding. Now, one who is serious about spiritual life should rise early in the morning, preferably before the Brahma Muhurta. After waking up, first brush your teeth, then bathe in the cold water. After wearing fresh clothes, begin the day's sadhana. Bathe should be taken after rising early in the morning. Long nap of more than 1 hour. Passing stool, excessively perspiring, yeah, and being contaminated anyway. After after visiting crematorium ground, या किसी नाई की दुकान से वापस आए हो या कुछ है, you have to take bath. Personal hygiene and cleanliness should be maintained. Nails should be kept clean and clipped short. Nail clippings should be thrown in the dustbin. Srila Goswami even mentioned that one should carefully clean one's teeth properly and regularly. Hands and legs should be washed after passing water, and hands should be washed properly with the soap after passing stool. Brahman initiates should wrap the sacred thread around their ear, right ear, while using the toilet. क्योंकि बॉडी के अंदर बहुत सारी रिवर्स होती है ब्राह्मण के, they all go away with the urine. Otherwise, only the right hand should be used for eating and chanting, during the deity worship. Of course, for dressing, you need to use both the hands. Wash hands and feet, mouth before and after ordering prasadam. Wash hands after drinking water. Do not spit while eating. Do not spit on water. Sannyasi should bathe 3 times a day. Grihasthas and brahmachari at least twice a day. I mean, some people they bathe once, twice a day should be there. Bathe after shaving, copulating, or going to a crematorium. That is written by चाणक्य पंडित कि नाखून काटने के बाद, बाल काटने के बाद और कॉपीराइट करने के बाद, मतलब कम्युनिकेशन विद वाइफ, क्रिमेशन ग्राउंड से और शेविंग करने के बाद अगर व्यक्ति नहाता नहीं है तो चंडाल रहता है. One should rest for about 6.5 hours. Too much sleep and too little sleep, both are not good. One should try to sleep on the floor or on a hard surface. The usual soft bed should be avoided. It is best to sleep in one's left side, if not, then on the back, but never on one's stomach. One should not waste Krishna's energy like soap, toothpaste, electricity. One should spend Krishna's money discreetly with the responsibility. And one should always, because we're talking about personal habits, one should always try to avoid his own ideas or should never impose it on other devotees. That is also very essential and very important. Leading Kirtan is very important, but how are you leading? That is also very important. There are certain tunes which are mentioned in scriptures, like in the morning, what should be the rag, afternoon, what should be the rag. And we normally sing in that way. And we should always stick to that principle. I've seen devotees, they play very hard, very hard this sartal, as if like, in the morning, when the Lord just got up, we should always pray sartal very nicely. And we should always stand very quietly. Like, since here is Vibhaveri Shesha, Aloka Pravesha, Nidrachari Jiva. I personally feel that well, I have three bells in my altar normally. One to wake up the Lord in the morning, which is very mild. And second to do the offering and arti. Arti ke liye you can have bigger one, but I have two. Third one broke actually. So leading Kirtan at a satsanga is an honor, as one is representing the whole congregation before the deity. In fact, when I've heard that we should always think that his Guru Maharaj is actually assisting Nityanand Prabhu when we sing his, and you are assisting your Guru Maharaj and Nityanand Prabhu to please Mahaprabhu when you're actually leading the Kirtan. Okay? So we should always sing only those Kirtan which are authorized. Prema Dhani says Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka like that. So we should say Jai together. It's very important. Only the standard Prema Dhani should be chanted. Only the melody, melody is also very important. Like Sansar Dava, Narani the Loka, Talaya Karunya Garana. People don't understand that. They just like, they they just like sing sometimes some funny tunes also. But actually there's a proper tune for it. Like, yes, prasada, Bhagavad prasado, yes, prasada, nagati kutopi, dhyayastu vastasya, yashasri sadhya, vande guru shri, charanarvindam namaho, Vishnu padaya. Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshata Rine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Then Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. You can chant one more time this. No, I will. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like that. Because every kirtan starts with separation, but ends up with some hope. So that's the reason Prabhupada always used to start with very sad tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then immediately, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Like, when Radha Krishna, they are meeting together again and then they're dancing in ecstasy. So Prabhupada actually used to see all this, some of the, this is like, this should be a bhav, that according to my Acharya, he was winning separation from Radhesham and he was trying to make the divine couple meet. And when they met, he's singing very fast and with so much of enthusiasm and with so much of joy, right? Otherwise, this same Sansar Dava, when we sing in the afternoon, we sing in a different tune. That is Sansara Dava, Nalanidha Loka, Pranaya Karunya, Gana Gana Tvam, Prapta Se Kalyana, Gurana Vasya, Vande Guru Shri, Charanara Vindam, like that, Anyways, so it's very important for us to have the proper understanding that whatever tune we are singing, that is a standard tune. And it is very important and essential for us to have that. The general pattern of the morning kirtan should be samsara dava and Panchatattva mantra, like chanting, of course. And there are two or more kartal prayers. There should not be more than that. And kirtan should be sweet and melodious. Very important. Dancing should not be एक दूसरे को मार रहे हैं, लाते मार रहे हैं, पागलों को नाच रहे हैं. एक बंदा फर्स्ट फ्लोर से कूद रहा है और सारे लोग कैच कर रहे हैं. This is not a rock show which is happening. Anyways, we used to dance like that. Initial days of my Krishna consciousness, when we went to Mayapur for the first time, we went mad and we were dancing like crazy, And this the way you're seeing in the picture, it was full was in that, and we were doing all this dancing, rolling, slapping, throwing kids one to another, and dancing like this, crazy. So men and women should always dance separately, and one should watch the lead dancer always and try to synchronize. And the perfect dance is in the Lord Chaitanya style, with arm raised on the folded hand, with enthusiasm and devotion. Very important. We're just going to stop it here today. We're going to talk about speech tomorrow, which is very essential and very important. Anybody has any question, any doubt, any problem?
Prabhuji, I have read that Charnamrit in any case is not contaminated.
Who said
If you
Charnamrit?
even if you touch it with unwashed hands or
हाँ
something,
वो
it is
ठीक है,
not.
लेकिन मैंने ये नहीं बोला. मैंने ये बोला Charnamrit should not fall on the ground.
That I accept.
हाँ. Okay, any question? Kamal Roy?
No, bro.
Neha Mataji?
प्रभु जी चरणामृत हम निर्जला पे भी एक्सेप्ट कर सकते हैं ना, अगर
तो
किसी ने
देखो
किया।
ये हैंड है, देखो हैंड है ना, हैंड को जब सीधा करते हैं तो यहाँ पे एक गड्ढा बनता है इतना पानी हम निर्जला में पी सकते हैं और चरणामृत
नहीं, इट्स
anyways,
नॉट अबाउट वाटर।
हाँ
आई एम आस्किंग, जैसे हम मंदिर जाते हैं दर्शन के
वेरी
लिए
लिटिल
वहां
वाटर,
पे।
जस्ट अ टच ऑन द लिप्स,
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है।
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। 5:30 not to mop the floor। ठीक है, हरी बोल, एनी डाउट? नो।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हाँ कमल जी।
प्रभु जी आपने बोला कि एनिमल से अगर गलती से भी टच हो जाए सो वी शुड टेक बाथ, राइट?
मतलब कुत्ते या बिल्ली को टच करने के बाद आदमी को हाथ पैर तो धोने चाहिए एटलीस्ट, और अगर आप डीटी वर्शिप करने जा रहे हो नहाना चाहिए उसके।
ओके।
गाय इज नॉट एनिमल, ना गाय इज माता,
यस यस यस।
गाय को मत सोचो। हाँ, so whatever decision we have to pray to Radha Shyam, one like Krishna, Akshara, Prabhupada, Shri Gurudev, Ananda Koti Vaishnava to give us a blessing, so we can always remain situated in our Sarup as a servant of Krishna and with our mind, body, and actions serve the divine purpose and attain the goals of life. One is Krishna Prema and second is Radha
Radha Dasya.
Dasya.
राधा दास्यम।
Pancha Kalpatru Vaishya Kripa Sindhu
Asana Patitanam
पतितानां
Pavanam
पावनेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि
Ananta Koti
वैष्णव
Vaishnava
Jai.
की जय।
जय।